Dave, a pretty incredible final 10 minutes there. What's the overall feeling coming off the back of that?
I think it was a good game. I think if any neutral fan would have turned up tonight, you're seeing two teams going right at it and producing levels that are probably above the level. Like I say, a really open game towards the end. And from our perspective, happy that we've taken something from it. Frustrated because large parts of it again were very good, and yet again we've seen things that we've seen in the previous few games, but this time at least we've got something to take home. We're on the board, and look forward to Saturday now.
Yeah, and obviously Ben Hinchliffe coming up big there. I think they're going to rename that stand the Ben Hinchliffe end at some point. That's 3 of his last 4 penalties in that stand he's saved, and you're always going to need a good goalkeeper behind you, and he's done it again for you today.
Yeah, two, like I say, important saves at the end. I think, listen, for me, the moments that happened are controversial for me, in the fact that if the referee wants to give a penalty for that, fine. Listen, but you've got to be consistent around what you're doing. If that's a penalty, then the foul on Tanto 15 minutes earlier is a penalty. Likewise, if you're going to let Andy Cook go through one-on-one when he's offside, but Noilly has, I suppose, I wouldn't suggest he's half made an attempt to play the ball, and you let him go through one-on-one, then when Paddy goes through at the other end, when their centre-half tries to head the ball, misses it and it's in the face, then Paddy needs to be let go through. And it's not, he's flagged offside and there's no penalty given, yet at the other end, they're allowed to go through and there's a penalty given. So I have an issue with that in terms of consistency over the course of a game, because ultimately the powers that be are making lots of changes, are saying that it's important that only one member of staff is allowed to stand at the front of the technical area, and if another one stands up then they're going to get a yellow card. But fundamentally we're now on the back of 2 games running where we had an apology on Monday for a referee who got a penalty decision wrong, and by all accounts he's absolutely devastated because it's a moment when it was 0-0 that potentially decides the game. Again, completely understand people are going to make mistakes, and yet tonight there's more. So regardless of what happens with someone kicking the ball away half a yard or somebody taking the time on a throw-in, all I want as a manager, and I hope I speak for all the other managers, is that referees are consistent with the decision making and they get the big decisions right. And I don't think that's been, I know certainly it's not been the case from Saturday, and I suggest there's lots gone on tonight where them decisions haven't at least been consistent, if not wrong.
On a more positive note, how pleased were you with the character that your side showed? Because I suppose on the back of 2 defeats, having conceded early in the second half, heads could easily drop, but County went the other way and went on to dominate the rest of the game.
Yeah, really pleased. And that's the big takeaway from tonight. Like I say, that you can get to a point where, and it's probably easier for us to get to that point on the bench where you think this isn't our night, especially with the opportunities we've had and the opportunities that we've not taken. But thankfully, one's dropped for us, and we've got ourselves a goal. We've got ourselves on the board, and we have to, like I say, we have to take that forward. That'll be reinforcement for the group in there, because we've big players missing tonight, added to the ones that were already out. People have come in. Great to have Will Collar back and get him through that amount of time. He's worked his socks off, and we've got to make sure he recovers quickly now. But other really positive performances of players that have come in and taken the chances.
In terms of the goal you did concede, similarities really with the first goal that you conceded on Saturday down that left-hand side. It is a new look-back free for County. Do you put that down to teething problems, just gelling in? Or
No. I'll put that down to individual mistakes and poor decisions. To be honest, I'm more disappointed, and I don't really know what happened with the goal. I've not watched it back as of yet. We've got a throw-in in front of the dugout on our side, and we've been working on stuff through the week since the start of pre-season, really, of having a sort of, I suppose, what we'd call a U-shape to allow us to, if we do come backwards, to play out the other side. Cody's going to get himself in a poor position, too far or too close to the touch line. Once he then has the ball, he can only go backwards. He can only go to Fraser, or he can only go to Ben. He should be further inside. We shouldn't be, and we do it far too often. We've got to throw in 40 or within 40 yards of the opponent's goal, that area for us is about retaining and building, not going back to the goalkeeper, and we do it too much. And once again, it's bitten us on the backside. So that's like I say, a huge frustration. Regardless of new look, back three, or whatever else, not makes no difference. They're all good players. And again, it was a little bit different on Saturday in terms of Ethan playing in there. We still managed to make mistakes, and it doesn't matter, individuals, doesn't matter what position they're playing in. We're not asking them to play in positions that are foreign to them. They're all good players, so we have to cut their mistakes out. There are certain areas of the pitch where you can make mistakes. The fundamental part for me is that once again we've got to throw it in an attacking-ish area, and we end up with the ball back at our goalkeeper. And I say this to Ben, or I say this to our players all the time, without it sounding disrespectful to Ben, but it is, because that's how it looks. But should be our worst outfield player. We don't want him with the ball. We want him to see as little as the ball as possible. If he's bored, then we must be in a good place, and that's what we have to try and be, especially when we're high up the pitch.
You've not been helped in recent weeks by injuries, of course, but that did create the opportunity today for Ollie Crankshaw, first competitive appearance since January. Obviously put the corner in that led to the goal, very nearly won it late on. What do you make of his cameo?
Yeah, listen, with I suppose disappointment injuries comes opportunities for others. Ollie's trained well, kept his head down. I think probably from his experience last year has allowed it easy to do that, because he'll back himself to play. I just think with Ollie sometimes his unpredictability is his strength, and sometimes when you've not been in the team, I think it's easy to be a little bit safe. He's a dribbler. I want him to go and take people on. If he loses the ball, then we should have enough players behind the ball to account for that and cover for that. So again, every time he gets it, I want it to be positive. We made that change for Noila to be able to give him the ball as often as possible. And if the fullback's right up his backside, then spin it in behind to Tanto, or stick it into Tanto's feet, or play it into Louis Barry behind. We have opportunities to do that. When we're in the final third, I want people, just as I want to be, excited. I want to see people off the seat. I want to see people wanting to go and try and score and create on every single occasion, and not be safe. And if Ollie does that, he's shown, like I say, in the opportunities that he had not so many last year, but certainly in the previous season, that when a game is open and a bit random, that he pops up in good areas. And again, it's taking an opportunity that's been put in front of him. There will be, because of the injury situation we have, there will be other opportunities in front of him. It's up to him to make sure he grasps them.
You talk about unpredictability. Was he supposed to take that corner short?
He was supposed to take the corner short, yeah. So again, we looked at how they set up and felt they're a big team, and we're not the biggest, and they were very zonal. So we hope that in that scenario, as was with the first half, where Louis Barry had half a chance from the corner of the box, that would maybe be Ryan Rydell in terms of on his left foot. Listen, Ollie's put the corner in and we've scored, so good decision.
Obviously still looking for your first win of the season, but a point today, first point of the season, is that something to build on now going into that Barrow game at the weekend?
It's definitely something to build on, because we've had nothing previously. And I think if we'd not taken something from the game tonight, as much as we could stand here and still be positive and be pleased with large parts of the performances, then the players would have got no reinforcement whatsoever. I think, and I hope, and I would expect from my situation, that's doing the world of good, because you're going to have to come up against adversity this season, regardless of what it is. We're going through a little bit of it now, as we did the early part of last season, and as we did, to be fair, at the latter part of last season in terms of injuries and players that we had missing. Well, that can only make you stronger if you come through the other side, and we've, like I say, we deserved something from the game tonight, without question. We've got that, so hopefully we back that up on Saturday. I think a point here against a good Bradford team, in the grand scheme of things, isn't the worst result. It's a bad result because we've not got anything from the previous two games. That's always going to be the case. We need to, like I say, we need to put a run together. We need to get started. And we've done that tonight in terms of first point on the board. Hopefully we can back it up on Saturday.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Thanks for talking to us.
Cheers, thank you.